Nonsense going on about the Georgia Guidestones from hundreds and hundreds of people that just literally have no clue what they're about, why they were made, and yet dogmatically declare to the entire world that they understand what they clearly don't understand. And having no proof, even when they're offered proof, they turn a deaf ear and a blind eye, even to somebody who knows the people that built the Guidestones. This is mind blowing to me why people don't hear when I say the words Hugh Squire knows the people who built it. So how on earth can they keep going on and saying that the Guidestones say these certain things and they know what those things mean and have no clue where they came from and just parrot echoed information? They say, and this is always their response. Their response is always, well, but I read what the Guidestones say and I disagree with it. Well, maybe we should read the Guidestones. Maybe we should actually see what they say before we declare that we disagree with it. And when I read it, I don't think they're saying what you think they're saying. Now, the reason that I don't think that they're saying what you think they're saying is because I've heard Hugh talk about it and how he worked for JC Christian. Notice that RC Christian was a pseudonym. Okay. You see it on Wikipedia. It's a pseudonym for J.C. Christensen, whom he used to work for. And this was, gosh, back in the late 60s, early 70s, I think. This season not been in the mid 70s, not long before they were built. And or early to mid 70s, something in there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and it wasn't just him. It wasn't just Christensen. It was also an Indian guy. And they were very wealthy. Obviously, you had to have a lot of money. Nobody ever asked, like, well, who had the money to build this? Oh, it's the Illuminati. The terrible, evil Illuminati. We don't know who they are. So, we'll just attack them. And we'll just blow up personal, private property. See, I thought, call me crazy, but I thought in this country you had a right to say whatever you want. Do you also agree that if I put up a giant stone slab that says Joe Biden sucks balls, that you or somebody else or some liberal Democrat has a right to blow it up? Let's just say that the Guidestones really say what Alex Jones and the rest of you believe that they say, which is not what they say. But let's say that it does. Okay, let's say that it's really this liberal, off the wall Illuminati message. Does that give you the right to just ignore the Constitution, to ignore the fact that you have personal privacy rights, that you own property in this country, you have free speech rights in this country, that you can build and say whatever you want? So you just throw all that out and you say, oh, I support. Who is this stupid woman running for an office in Georgia that is saying that this is the Illuminati, parroting Alex Jones? Who's this girl think she is? It's unbelievable that we've come to a place where we think we can just destroy anything because we disagree with it. Isn't that what the left does? And isn't that what you say terrorists do? They just destroy things. They kill a baby because they have no responsibility. They disagree with it, or they overpower and they overstep their authority and they trample rights and they take away your Second Amendment and First Amendment rights. And here you are going out saying God destroyed the Guidestones with some wonderful prophet who must have used a bomb. You don't say he's a prophet, do you? But you're almost there. Like, you're getting close. You're literally saying that this guy was sent by God. Some of you on Facebook are literally saying that God himself destroyed the Guidestones. This is a God. Did you guys ever read David? I mean, the Bible. complaining about why do the wicked prosper, and eventually comes to the conclusion, well, it has to be that way for a while. Well, if it's got to be that way for a while, what makes you think you get to jump into Revelation where supposedly the Christians rule with a rod of iron with God, on the new earth, the cube, the big cube, cubical New Jerusalem that we talked about in other videos? What makes you think that you get to just declare that right now, and you don't have to do what David did? Wait. What makes you think you get to use bombs and blow things up because you disagree with them? And by the way, I think if you really understood, you'd open your mind, open your ears, open your eyes. You would not disagree with what they actually say. Because the people that Hugh worked with, one was an Indian, and Christensen knew this Indian guy that worked for him. I think I don't know if the Indian worked for him or with him. Like Hugh worked for him. I'm not sure about the Indian guy, but this Indian religion believed that you should take care of Mother Earth. Okay. They spent a lot of money on these Guidestones. Had they not been bombed, they could have lasted many thousands of years, just like Stonehenge. And and by the way, Stonehenge was reconstructed after it had fallen down, according to photos that I've seen back from the 40s. And I guess they're 40s, 30s, and 40s, where you see cranes lifting them up and stacking the stones on top, and yet they'll tell you today that they were that they've been in place exactly as they are for thousands of years. That's just a side note, kind of funny, but so there's scams and stuff going on all over the world, but um, these Guidestones could have lasted for thousands of years, gone through the destruction of humanity, possibly, and when society had to rebuild, they might have had a chance to look at those stones and say, oh, that civilization didn't listen to these ideas and didn't fare so well. Maybe we should try some of these ideas. And that's the idea. Okay. It's not leftist. It's not Illuminati. Here's one guy, Bruce Edmonds, and I'm just looking on Facebook. I'm not going to share the screen. You can just believe me. Bruce Edmonds says, "Hallelujah, they're down." I mean, I just keep scrolling. It doesn't take very long before I find another fool claiming, using God language and religious language, saying that they think God took down the Guidestones, and of course, I don't think God uses bombs, does he? I mean, where's that? Where's that in your Bible where God just every time you disagree with something, that God just destroys it right then and there, right on the spot, or tells you to do that? Now, okay, you might have a point. Okay, God destroyed the world in a flood or whatever. All right, but God did that, didn't he? When did he tell Noah, hey Noah, go turn on the faucet? We're going to get this flood thing going. Nah, God just did that himself, didn't he? Remember, at the end of time, I mean, isn't it? God comes down with the saints, and Jesus, by the word of his mouth, destroys all the sinners, right? When did you get that power? Here's another guy. It's fallen. It's fallen. Yay! That's Bruce Edmonds. Let's see. I just keep scrolling. And I keep finding more. Here's another one. What's this one say? Great job, Michael Collins' team. Oh, okay. So somebody made a documentary on one. Okay, that's good. All right. I guess that's all right. Let's see. What's this one? Oh, Bobby Carl Jr. is the only guy that I've seen say anything intelligent about the Guidestones, talking about some of the Indians that helped make it and stuff. So at least somebody knows a little bit out there. Hooray for that. But most people are just saying, hallelujah, God destroyed the Guidestones. Well, this is how you know it wasn't God, folks, because when God does things, like destroys things everywhere in the Bible, he just does it. Doesn't need you to do it for him, right? I'm using religious language. I understand all this stuff is symbolic language. You hear me talk about it all the time. So I'm just taking it as is when I talk like this right now. That you just that your logic's insane. You have no reason to believe that that God destroyed these things. You got nothing from the Bible that could clue you into thinking this. Not one bit. The monument is here. Here's one person raising red by WJ, and it says the monument is inscribed with maintain humanity under 500 million in 8 different languages. So obviously he thinks that means something terrible, and we're going to go into that here in a minute. I'll read the commandments on there one at a time, and we'll go through them and talk about them in just a minute. I'm just going to see if anybody else here on Facebook said anything stupid about the Guidestones out of ignorance and stupidity. Let's see. Usually doesn't take this long, only when you're trying to look for them. But when you're just scrolling, you see like 1,000 of them, right? But when you're actually looking for posts about the Guidestones, then it takes a little longer to find them. Say la vie. That's just how it is. But well, you get the idea. There, almost everybody on here comes on here and thinks the Guidestones say what they don't. So let's go over and let's actually read what the Guidestones say, shall we? And let's see if we can really disagree with these commandments. We'll start with that first one. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. What's that first word again? Maintain. You see, over and over and over and over again, I keep getting all these people that are saying reduce humanity to under 500 million, but that's not what it says. It literally says maintain. So that means you're looking at it at a point where it is at that level and you maintain it. This would be a post, like I said earlier, this would be a post-apocalyptic event where humanity's already mostly destroyed itself and is rebuilding. Possibly like what might have happened to the megalithic builders in Stonehenge. And this is why this echoes Stonehenge, because, and there's lots of other Stonehenges and megalithic constructions all over the world, and nobody knows exactly how they were built, with what technologies they could drill these unbelievable holes and move these massive stones with not even a hair's breadth between the stones. And what technology was that? That civilization is gone. Sometime between that humanity, that civilization, and the civilization that we have today, somewhere between those 2 points, we cross this 500 million threshold. And maybe had we used wiser scientific practices, not abortion. I'm not talking about kill your kids. I'm 100% against. See, this is what I'm talking about. Everybody's going to say, no, this is leftist. This doesn't mean they just want you to kill your kid. No. Did the Indians kill their kids? Remember, an Indian built this. Okay, J.C. Christian and an Indian guy. Did they practice abortion? The Native Americans. I'm talking about Native American Indians, not Indians. Did Native American Indians, and I'm not using that as a pejorative, so don't go there, okay? If that's your mindset, just go somewhere else. I don't hear it. But if that did Native Americans ever practice abortion? No. So they're not telling you to kill your children, of course. They're telling you to maintain it in balance with nature. So get to a reasonably healthy number. They suggest 500 million. Well, it's not like it's going to be perfect like that, but you could imagine a society that uses science and technology and can more carefully maintain in the future a society that doesn't use its resources so fast. Is that bad? I mean, I fail to see, like, now By no means. Some of you crazy people on Facebook that are calling me, liberal leftist, which is so bizarre. It's unreal. I mean, never in a million years would I vote for Obama or Biden or Bill Clinton or God forbid Kamala Harris. Never in a million years would I do something like that. But I could see why you'd want to, have a society that cares about the planet around them. And that's not to say that a bigger population doesn't necessarily. I understand that. But remember, we're not talking about reducing humanity to under 500 million. We're talking about maintaining humanity. Now, I think that through proper measures, not abortion, not through murder, we could, in a intelligent way, choose as enlightened peoples of the planet to choose to reduce our numbers without killing people, because nothing in this thing says anything about killing anybody. Let's look at the words that they use in this. Maintain humanity in balance with nature. Let's just go to number 2, okay? Because I don't want to say all the words and then ruin it. I don't want to, spoil it or anything. So let's see. Okay. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely. That's exactly what we were saying. That's the second commandment. So it kind of helps you understand what they're talking about with the first one. Improve fitness and diversity. Now, diversity here, they're talking about biological diversity. Don't get the idea that they're talking about some left-wing college diversity where they're talking about that you see on every sign in every college in America. Where all they sell in American colleges now today is not a degree. They just sell you diversity. Kind of like when you go to factories, you see signs all over the place, and it says we make safety here. It's like, really? No, I thought you made plastic. No, all the signs just say we make safety. You go to an American college and they say the only thing all you see is diversity. You never hear anything talking about their degree programs or anything. All their signs are just diversity, diversity, diversity. And you think, gosh, that's really all you do? No, we're not talking about that kind of diversity. Sorry about that. But we're not talking about diversity like that. We're talking about genetic diversity. We're talking about biological diversity. Okay. Guide reproduction wisely, so we don't have these problems in the future where things are dying out. Improve fitness. I mean, I don't exercise myself, but I could see why exercising and improving fitness would be a good thing over a bad thing. For heaven's sakes, what's with humanity thinking that this is a bad idea? Unite humanity with a living new language. And this is where everybody has read the Bible. Their brain just wants to explode right here. Oh my gosh, they want to bring back the Tower of Babel, right? Let's talk about that for a second. You see, Genesis 11:9, the Tower of Babel is first mentioned. 9:11 backwards. The longest chapter in the Bible is Psalms 119. Again, 9:11 backwards. And then in Revelation 9:11, the angel of the bottomless pit is called Apollyon. So the god of destruction, Apollyon, is Abaddon, destruction. And it's all related to 9/11 and the Tower of Babel right there in the Bible. And then we just had the towers fall in 9/11. I don't think that was a prediction, but somebody used that and they were thinking like that. Some of you are thinking, hey, we could just blow things up because we get to decide what God does. See, you're not qualified to decide what God does. That's why God has to come and do it himself. Because if you do it, you'll do stupid things like this and blow up somebody's Indian monument. This is why God has to come down and use his words and just obliterate everybody himself when he comes, okay? With the power of his words, right? As it says in Revelation. because you don't know truth enough. And how one way I know you don't know truth enough, not only do you blow things up but when I tell you the truth about somebody like Hugh Squire, whose life has is closer than you're ever going to get with anybody around here, to somebody that knew somebody that built these things, personally knew them, knew what they thought, knew how they felt about things, spent a lot of time with these people, you don't hear it. You're not pursuing truth. You think you already know truth. And this is, I think, the real God of the universe doesn't like you very much when you do that. You think you already know. I used to do it a lot. Fundamentalists, went to Hyles Anderson, so I get it. You think you know what God says, but you don't know what you don't know. Boy, have I ever learned that a lot in the Bible here lately. Go back and watch some of my last few videos where I really show you what the Bible's really saying in ways that really can't be argued with or denied. So, unite humanity with a living new language. You notice it doesn't say eliminate all former languages. You know, we already have this technology today. You can download an app on your phone, talk into it, and it talks in the other language, to just about any language on earth. I'm sure in our lifetime it'll be every language on earth if it's not already. We're already there, folks. What if we just made one language that everybody could use to communicate, standardized times and things a little bit, standardized our calendars and things like that, and just made it so that people could function better? That's bad? No, that's not bad. Unite humanity. Oh, that sounds terrible. I know you're thinking, well, Jesus said, I came to bring a sword. I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword, right? Yeah. Well, Jesus said that, but he's bringing the sword, not you. When Peter tried to use the sword and cut somebody's ear off, he said, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, dude. You see, there's a difference between when he does it and when you do it. I'm talking Christianese here. Okay. I'm well versed in it. I have a BS education from a BS university, Hyles Anderson. Okay. A Bachelor of Science in Theology. Yeah, I could talk the language. All right. But it should resonate with those of you that believe that still, because that's what it says. So when Peter uses a sword, it's bad, but God can do it. Well, don't you be that sword. Look what it's saying. Unite. Why don't you be a uniter? You ever read the Beatitudes, for heaven's sakes? Live in peace with everybody, doesn't it? You know, let's read. Let's go. Let's see how close this matches to Matthew 5. I'll just Google Matthew 5 real quick. Matthew chapter 5 KJV, and we'll see. Let's see if we can match this up with the Georgia Guidestones. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Wow. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And you're going to tell me you don't like what the Georgia Guidestones have to say? Unite humanity, maintain humanity, guide wisely. Boy, that sure sounds a whole lot like Matthew 5. All right, number 4. Rule passion, faith, and tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Now, if you're in the Christian faith, you're going to say, well, Muslims need to do that, don't they? Because they're all radical. They want to kill everybody. So they need some tempered reason to go with their faith. Well, but you're telling me right now that you have the right to blow up people's monuments that is on private property because they say something different than what you think. What's the difference between you and them? I think they're right and you're wrong. How about if you rule your passion and your faith with some tempered reason? Is that really wrong? Notice it doesn't say don't have faith. It says rule passion. That's actually the root of religion, is to rule and govern your own passions, to make yourself live more like God or like Christ or like Allah. And I know you don't think they're doing it and they don't think you're doing it. I get that. So whichever one you're from, just you could stay in that groove for now. You should use some tempered reason in everything you do. Don't be like these guys who blew up the monument. Don't be like those Muslims that blew up the Buddhist statues in Afghanistan. Don't be like them either. Same idea, two different places, blowing up stones. And we're going to blame the other, but both are doing it, aren't they? How about the Guidestones were right? J.C. Christensen, that Hugh knows or knew back in the early 70s before these stones were built, and they were building them in the 70s. They unveiled it in 1979. 1980, it says in some places, depending on where you look here. I've seen both dates. That's when it says it's unveiled, but Hugh says they were built a little bit before that. So they just probably weren't ready to unveil it yet. I think they're right, because never did they say blow anything up. And these were people who were building manufacturing companies, and they were building lines on assembly lines. All right. It's one of the many jobs Hugh had. He built assembly lines and robots on that build cars in Detroit. Do you think these people working those jobs are trying to say that we should kill everybody? No. Are they saying we shouldn't have any manufacturing? No. These were the manufacturers of your country saying that we need to live in balance with nature. So that was number 4. So rule passion, faith, tradition, all things with tempered reasons. And who on earth could seriously disagree with that? Okay, let's go to the next one. Number 5. Protect people and nations, with fair laws and just courts. Boy, is that ever important. And this is how I know you people that think you're of God are not, because you ignore that altogether. Because when somebody like Hugh says, I have 4 murdered wives, 2 of them I gave CPR to, airlifted to the hospital, and they were both murdered in the hospitals by hospital workers both times. And that doesn't stir you to say, hey, wait a minute, something's not fair. The courts aren't just here. What do you mean there was no obituary for Victoria's murder? That's not just. These aren't fair laws. What about all these pedophiles that are getting away with it, that killed all the children in Oakland County, Michigan? How did they get away with it, selling children over in Wisconsin, where Joe Biden is taking kids from Mexico and sending them up to Wisconsin still today? You see, if you actually cared about kids and you really cared about fair laws and just courts, and you weren't just faking it, and all of you are faking it. I don't care if you're atheist, Christian, Muslim, all of you are lying to yourselves. Because when I say this stuff, you don't jump in and say, how can I help? Instead, you turn around and you blame Hugh and say he did it. You're wicked. You're evil people. The Guidestones are a rebuke to you people, and you tore them down. And you're praising God. Well, I don't like that God that you're praising. about destroying the Guidestones, because what these 10 commandments say repudiates you and the fact that you are not working for fair laws and just courts when you hear me say to you, dead wives, murdered children, and you sit back and do nothing. Harsh, isn't it? Real harsh. And I kind of keep toggling back and forth here between tabs because, if you want to jump in, all you got to do is click that little link here. I've been talking 30 minutes already. Nobody ever jumps in on mine. I'm too mean. Actually, I'm just straightforward, and that's hard for people. It really is. People don't know what to do with this kind of stuff. What day of the week is this? It's Wednesday now. Maybe that's part of the reason nobody's on. 10 o'clock at night. Y'all have to work tomorrow. Number 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. So, okay. All the nations should fix their own problems, but when they disagree with another nation, rather than go to war and destroy the whole frickin' earth, maybe you should just go to court and work things out. And you're going to say that's bad? This is the new world order. So what you really think is, rather than your convoluted idea of a new world order, you'd rather just everybody go to war, drop bombs, kill billions of people, and that's better. You see, the United Nations, the concept, even though it doesn't get used properly, well, your courts in this country aren't being used properly, just like in number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Well, if you have a court that disputes between nations, a world court, it's not going to be right all the time either. And I would say that those courts should be given a balance. Now, that's not written here on number 6. These are short, concise messages. They expect people to think through issues. But just like we have a executive and a judicial and a legislative branch, I think if we have a world court, well, there probably should be some checks and balances built into that too. Somebody should be able to vote these courts out, and they should be responsible to the people of the world. Maybe a vote every 4 years or something for who's on that court, and the entire world gets to vote or something, something like that. That doesn't mean it's the only possible idea, but I'm just throwing something out there. But there should be checks and balances on a world court for sure. But that's far better than dropping nuclear bombs, destroying the earth itself where it can't be inhabited for thousands of years in some cases, raising the temperatures, evaporating massive amounts of water. They got bombs now that if you dropped it in the middle of Lake Erie, it would literally evaporate the entirety of Lake Erie. Can you imagine the destruction that's going to happen if these bombs go flying? And you say, rather than internally resolving external disputes in a world court, these are nations now, not people, not individuals fighting people in other nations. No, these are nations resolving issues with other nations. You think it's better to go to war, kill billions of people, than to have that court? Man, J.C. Christian, he sure was an evil guy. Man, that Indian guy that built these Guidestones with him, man, he sure was evil. New World Order. You got to be crazy. You don't know God at all. Do you think that? I don't want that God. Your God's nuts. Your God's insane. Your God wants to just kill everybody. That's not the God I read about in Matthew chapter 5. Let's look at that again. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall be God. Blessed are the peacemakers, world court, peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. I don't see very many of you Christians anymore that want to be peacemakers, or Muslims, or atheists. I don't see anybody but a bunch of programmed people that read the propaganda. So the propaganda from Alex Jones, you don't know it comes from Alex Jones, talking about the Illuminati built this, which is just complete bunk. The same Alex Jones who got Hughes family's chalk drawing from Gardner and used it to say that the World Trade Centers were destroyed by the Illuminati right there from the Gardner family. And it's the same Alex Jones spreading this garbage about saying that the Illuminati built the Guidestones. And so many of you are brainwashed by the government sponsored propaganda from Alex Jones, not even knowing it came from Alex Jones. That these lies and distortions about these commandments are straight from a CIA agent. Your government is doing this to you and brainwashing the American people, and so many millions of you are falling for it. I don't even know what to say anymore. All right, Georgia Guidestones. Let's go to we did 6 was let all nations rule internally, but resolving external disputes in a world court. Now let's read number 7. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Oh, I disagree with that one. We need more petty laws. We need more Democrats, don't we? That's what we really need. We need every single thing on earth to be frickin' illegal except for abortion up to 3 years old. Can you imagine if today, if the Democratic Party got together and they had to write the Constitution? Let's say the Constitution didn't exist, and the people that compose the leadership of the Democratic Party got together and they were going to make the U.S. Constitution today. I think that thing would be 75,000 pages long, and every last thing on earth that you could possibly think of, from the size of your grass to how many flowers you can plant to what shade your windows are on your house, all this stuff would be illegal and monitored, and all this stuff would the regulation would be so out of touch with reality, like everything the Democratic Party does. But you would have a right to kill your kid till he was 10 years old, probably. I mean, that would be protected, but I think we need to avoid petty laws and useless officials. I mean, like the Democratic Party, pretty much. How is anybody going to disagree with that? And even the Democrats listen. Maybe you think there's some people you'd like to throw out, and there are with me too. I'd like to throw out a lot of people in the Republican Party too. I agree that just like Bill Clinton should be in jail and Hillary Clinton should be in jail, so should Donald Trump. He did some pretty illegal things. Okay, I don't give any passes to anybody. I want truth. I'm not just Republican and only anti-Democrat. No. But I do have some problems here with thinking that the Democratic Party is ever going to do anything for America. I mean, CNN just admitted the other day that there's been a Democratic majority, or a liberal majority in the Supreme Court since 1931, and this is the first conservative Supreme Court that we've had since 1931. Can you imagine that? Almost 100 years, 89 years, folks, of activist Supreme Court judges. And most of the laws that get passed in this country, the big giant social programs and all this, were passed under Democrat super majorities in the Senate that were filibuster proof, like Obamacare, for example. Like the tax codes, like the income tax in 1912 or 13. I think it was 1912. Like allowing the Federal Reserve Act, the New Deal, the Johnson's programs in the 60s. All these different programs were passed under Democrat super majorities that couldn't be stopped, backed by a activist court since 1931. Unstoppable for almost 100 years. And the last time the Republicans had a supermajority in the Senate was in the 1860s, just after the Civil War. Really think about that, folks. You think it might be time to change things a little bit? That's why they added that amendment in the Constitution to allow the direct election of senators, because it allows a lot more Democrat-minded senators in the U.S. Senate. You see, because there are a lot more conservative states, and if the governors picked the senators as the founders intended, then there would be a lot more Republican conservative types in the Senate. You see why that law was changed, why that constitutional amendment was changed? It's time to end that constitutional amendment, folks. The Republican states should all gather together and have a constitutional convention and end that amendment. We do not need direct election of senators. We already have a House of Representatives. We need state appointed senators. That was done by your founders on purpose. So anyway, avoid petty laws and useless officials. I don't see how anybody can disagree with that. So let's go to number 8. Balance personal rights with social duties. Don't you get sick of everybody saying, these are my rights, these are my rights, these are my rights. I have a right to do this. I have a right to kill my baby. I have a right to kill grandpa. I have a right. That's all they do. Well, you may have a right, but what about your responsibilities to take care of your baby and to think before you bring a baby into existence? How about if you balance your right to own your body with the responsibility to own it responsibly? Gosh, that kind of sounds, man, he sounded a little too Jesus-y on here. I mean, why are these Illuminati evil Satanists so close to what the Bible says? Mind blowing. Oh, because they used the mystery school teachings, because they erected it on 322 at the right coordinates. Hey, what's wrong with that? It means they're smart. It means they know something. Oh, and by the way, it was a special place that the Indians liked. Proof that this was Indian religion too. So you had a guy that was probably a Freemason. Oh no, not the Freemasons. Oh no. Those evil Freemasons that go around and run and have fundraisers all the time. Now, I met with them. Believe me, they're not running your world. They're just, by and large, they're not smart enough to know the real mysteries. Hardly any of them do. But you had one that said, hey, let's learn some of the mysteries and put this in the right place so that it sends a message that's more timeless. What is March 22? Well, one of the things it is it's real close to the spring equinox. You ever thought about that? So if you're going to bring into a new humanity, you want to put something near the spring equinox. You know, when the season is rising, that's showing, hey, as civilization grows and rises again, let's use these sensible rules. When you all ignored your Bibles and bombed the frickin' earth and destroyed everything, when humanity finally gets around to rebuilding in 10,000 years, let's do it right this time. Oh, they won't know. They won't do that now because you destroyed the Guidestones. I don't know if your paper Bibles will still be there anywhere, but those stones would have been had you not bombed them. I think we need to balance our rights with the social duties. I agree with that one too. Number 8. How are you going to disagree with that? By God, what the heck is wrong with you people that want to say that these people are evil that built this? Not knowing who they were, repeating online nonsense that ultimately comes from Alex Jones and not even knowing or being aware that they come from Alex Jones, which is crazy. And then when I tell you, you ignore it. Balance personal rights with social duties. Number 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. What? These evil Illuminati people are telling you to find something infinite and beyond yourself? Some of you might say that that's God. Boy, these people are evil. I can't believe them. We should just blow up these people that want truth and beauty and love. We can't have that. Sounds too much like Matthew 5. You're the light of the world. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Boy, these people are evil. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Pretty sure they're talking about God there, because what else is infinite? But if you want to look at it through the mystery school lens, which I would do, okay? No, I haven't actually been to the mystery school. I'm at self-taught mystery school. See, that's the thing. That's the thing with mystery school. These things are so infinite and so timeless that if they disappear from the face of the earth, and even though you destroyed those stones, you MFers, this truth is going to come back up again someday because it's literally written in the stars. These truths are literally the size of your moon and earth together. Those monuments are no different than the pyramids. The pyramids have lasted all these thousands of years with the same messages. You just don't know how to read them. But they talk about the size of the moon and the earth, literally telling you the size of both. But you're not smart enough to understand it. That's some pretty infinite knowledge that has lasted 6,000 years at least, or however long you believe the world is, however long ago they built the pyramids. You know, if you want to use the, what's his name? The guy, I just forgot his name all of a sudden. Well, if you want to use the biblical time scale of 6,000 years, then the pyramids would have been built sometime after Noah's flood. So sometime after 1,500 years after Adam, when the flood happened. So give it another 500 years. So 4,000 years ago, roughly, give or take. So pyramids would be at least 4,000 years ago. But the Usher chronology. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. James Usher. So if you're using the James Usher chronology, yeah, they're at least 4,000 years old, folks. And if you're using some secular chronology, these things, some people believe the pyramids are 10, 12,000 years old. I've heard all kinds of numbers. So whatever you believe, they've been around for a while. But you know what? If they disappear tomorrow, somebody will build one again eventually, because the real size of the moon and the earth is knowable. And these numbers are amazingly coordinated with math and with angles and geometry, and somebody's going to put it together again. You can't bomb the infinite. You think you can, but unless you're going to destroy the moon, you're going to try to blow up the earth. I think some of you are, because what you talk about and project is usually what happens. So if you blew up the Georgia Guidestones, you might help start that next war. Those of you that think we're justified in defending Ukraine, forcing Putin, who's doing a righteous thing by attacking homosexuals and Nazis in Ukraine. And he even said that the day before he did it, that he was after the homosexuals and Nazis. Oh, but we're so godly over here that we're gonna help Ukraine. You realize they're the same people running your movies, right? He was an actor, Zelensky. Yeah, connected to Hollywood, right? You ever understand that's why your Democratic Party is so close to them right now? Why do they love him so much? But then you go on to Fox News, and guess what? The right likes them too. I think the same people are kind of owning some of the business in both worlds there. I wonder what's getting filtered over there. Look, Putin's doing exactly what he should do, and every American should stand up for him and say, hey, Russia, you've been our ally, our only ally we've ever had since for hundreds of years, since the Revolutionary War. You've been our ally. Only the nonsense and lies of the Cold War that came from our CIA and the people that killed Kennedy have been saying something else, but you never attacked us before. And throw out idiots like Joe Biden who are trying to bomb the world, destroy the world. And you Christians, you're helping Joe Biden do it. Let's just blow up the world. Let's blow up everything that says, let's have peace. Let's resolve external disputes in a world court and avoid petty laws and useless officials like Joe Biden, like Kamala Harris, like George Bush, like Bill Clinton, like Obama, like the other George Bush. Terrible people bringing oppressive and useless laws and petty laws that govern every last little detail of everything you do. Petty laws that need to go away. You just bombed that, idiots. You just destroyed that, you morons. You just claimed that God destroyed it. You're stupid. I'm sorry. Balance personal rights with social duties. Yes, we should. So I'm 1 and 8. I agree with 8 out of the 10 Georgia Guidestones so far. Now let's talk about 9. Oh, no, I already did 9. Prize, truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Yeah. So we got one more. Okay. Number 10, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Like it or not, whether you think God made you dependent on the earth or whether you believe that you came from a blob that reproduced itself somehow, one way or another, you are dependent on the earth, and so am I, and so will your great-grandchildren for a very long time. Keep it livable. Keep the species, and let's quit bombing everything. So maybe our great grandkids might have a place to live. Does that seem reasonable? See, being good stewards of the earth and inheriting the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. Well, you're not very meek by thinking you have the right to take Jesus' place and go blow it up. For heaven's sakes, just let Jesus do it, okay? Jesus wants to blow up the world with the word of his mouth. When he comes again, let him do it. You're not qualified. If you think Allah is going to come in and take over the world with, I don't even remember the words, with his form of the, I think, what's he do? I think he says that Jesus is, the Jesus of the Christians is wrong or whatever. Wait for him to do it, okay? You coming in killing everybody, you kill yourselves in the process. You kill your own soul. You kill your own mentality when you take the lives of other human beings. If Allah wants to destroy the world, let him come do it himself, okay? If he can't do it, then he's not really Allah. Maybe you don't really think that Allah is really going to do it someday. Is that the real problem? Maybe you don't think Jesus is going to do it someday, so you're tired of waiting for him. Is that the problem, Christians? Oh, and you atheists, you're going to go help Joe Biden. Uh-huh. Start war and destroy it. Yeah, you're going to say we need to protect all the species of the world. You're going to I agree, but what you're doing about to start a nuclear World War III and what you're saying are polar opposites. How can you protect the species of the earth when you drop a nuclear bomb on them? Do you understand how close you are to nuclear war right now? You idiots. You fools. That's why nobody listens to me, because I call everybody an idiot and a fool. I mean, who don't I call an idiot and a fool? I call the Christians fools. I call the atheists fools. I call the Muslims fools. There's nobody left, right? So I just stand here and talk alone, but I don't care. Wisdom is in the heart like a deep well. Knowledge is in the heart like a deep well. The wise person will come and draw it out of them, right? You gotta. This is why the Freemasons sit up on the hill and they don't come knock on your door, because wisdom sits up there and waits for you to go find it. And there's not very many people looking. This is why we have this kind of stupidity in the world. Why people are just destroying, bombing things, and then cheering it on. Yay, hooray! God destroyed the Georgia Guidestones. Whoopee! Evil sons of guns. You don't know God. If you think that, you don't know God. You can pretend to know God all you want. Think the world's flat, and the world's not frickin' flat. Come up with all kinds of ridiculous nonsense passed down by Alex Jones, who works for the frickin' government, directly or indirectly. I don't know how it all works out. All I know is all the media in this country is propaganda, paid for by the White House. I know that. And you're going to say you're a Christian. You're going to say you're a Muslim. You're going to say you know God. You don't know God. See, I don't think the real God created things for it intentionally to be destroyed by you or me. So once you read Matthew 5, once you read the parts of the Quran that talk about, if there are any parts, I haven't read it that close. I kind of perused it. If there's any parts in there that talk about protecting the world, listen to it. Protecting the earth and the animals. I know you hate dogs, but maybe protect all the other animals except dogs. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking, but goodness sakes, and start taking those commandments seriously, because God's a lot closer to the real God. The real God of the universe is a lot closer to the Georgia Guidestones than he is to those cheering its destruction. I'm out.